Well, hello folks, and welcome to another movie review by Movie Burner Entertainment. My name is Stephen, and today I'm going to talk about the movie The Shape of Water. In the middle of January, this film was nominated for Best Picture, Best Actress for Sally Hawkins, Best Supporting Actress for Octavia Spencer, Best Supporting Actor Richard Jenkins, Best Director Guillermo del Toro, Best Original Screenplay written by Vanessa Taylor, Best Original Score, Best Cinematography, Best Costume Design, Best Sound Editing, Best Sound Mixing, Best Production Design, and the Best Film Editing. All of the above, by the way, were very difficult to argue with for consideration at this year's Academy Awards. Now, since those nominations came out, The Shape of Water did win the Best Picture Award for this year's Academy Awards. The Shape of Water, in my opinion, can only be described as a brilliantly weird story set in a top secret research facility in the 1950s. A lonely janitor, Elisa, played by Sally Hawkins, forms a unique relationship with an amphibious creature played by Doug Jones, which has been held in captivity. Going back a few months ago, I described this trailer like a Monster of the Week episode of The X-Files. Now, having seen the movie, I still feel the same way. The story is a very simple but strange tale of Elisa falling in love with this creature and the amphibian having the same feelings for her. Everything around the storyline is what makes the film so special. Yes, the story is uniquely weird, and I enjoyed that element of it. It's classic Guillermo del Toro here we're talking about. Who else can make a story like that work and be accepted? But going back to what I was saying, everything else around this story is what makes it stand out against the rest. The casting, in particular Sally Hawkins, Octavia Spencer, Michael Shannon and Richard Jenkins, are amazing. Hawkins is an absolute joy to watch as a lonely janitor who works closely with Zelda, played by Octavia Spencer, in the facility, and although lives on her own, spends most of her time with Giles, who was played by Richard Jenkins, and I will speak about both those characters very shortly. Elisa, to me, is a strong woman in the sense that she understands what is happening in the facility towards the creature is wrong, and knows that something has to be done to save it. Watching Hawkins' interactions with the amphibian is interesting and sweet, and you can see the challenges for the actress who, because of the character being a mute and having to interact with an actor in a lizard suit, is using her expressions and emotions more in a physical way than normal. You can be excused for thinking this is weird, but honestly, once you have watched this movie and every scene Hawkins is in, you'll understand why she was nominated for Best Actress. The character has an inbuilt confidence about her towards the authorities, and not in an obvious or obnoxious way, but a quiet confidence that although they see her as an inferior, which is probably due to her inability to speak and more prejudiciously because of her occupation, she regards herself, if not an equal, superior in a moral sense. Elisa is such a likeable character, and Sally Hawkins portrays the role brilliantly. Octavia Spencer as Zelda Fuller is somewhat the moral compass of the film. Riding high in the back of her amazing portrayal Dorothy Vaughan in Hidden Figures, the Academy Award winning actress who won, I think it was Best Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role in The Help, again performs brilliantly, and I was interested to see what kind of character Zelda would be. She's probably Elisa's best friend and work colleague. Both of them stick together in what is predominantly a male environment and have each other's back. Zelda sees the good in Elisa, and even when Elisa's plan is in full flow and Zelda's conscience flits back and forth between what is right and what is illegal, you know that she's a good person, and Spencer does well to portray that weight on her shoulders. Don't get me wrong, Octavia Spencer is limited in her screen time, and although I would have enjoyed a fuller role, you just have to accept and enjoy her presence while you can. Michael Shannon as the antagonistic Richard Strickland and leading the operation for the military is such a deep and intense character. Shannon continues to surprise me in his investment in his role, and even though you're supposed to despise this character, you can't help wanting more when he isn't on screen. Strickland is so invested in his career that his family life just appears to go through the motions with little interaction between him and his wife and his kids. Bizarrely, after a struggle with the amphibian, Strickland loses a couple of fingers, luckily found on the floor by Elisa, but unfortunately not in time, and though his digits are attached back onto his hand as the film progresses, you can see, and thankfully not smell, his fingers becoming more bent and out of shape and darkening. This to me illustrates the madness side of Shannon's character, which I actually found rather amusing. I know Richard Jenkins is more of a comedy actor and amazingly didn't recognise at first playing the lonely Giles. As I previously mentioned, Giles and Alyssa spend quite a bit of time together and chat about their days, although obviously Giles is the one doing the talking. Both of them, although aren't romantically connected, share a common bond and companionship and spend most of their time together after work hours. Jenkins' transformation physically is what threw me off, and his unique speech patterns for the character managed to mask the actor even further. He's brilliant in this role and really matches the benchmark of acting alongside Sally Hawkins, Octavia Spencer and Michael Shannon. If there is one thing you're guaranteed with director-writer Guillermo del Toro, that is a unique storyline. 2006 Pan's Labyrinth is a great example of an excellent storyline that invests in the emotion and its characters. Del Toro is one of the best at this. Regardless of how strange the plot may be, he managed to draw you into this fantasy film and you can't help but enjoy it. I'm so glad he is on board to write and direct the Pinocchio project, as I think it will be amazing and right down his street. Vanessa Taylor worked on the screenplay with Del Toro in The Shape of Water and looks like the perfect collaborator on this film. Taylor's talents cannot be ignored here, as although Del Toro's name is more familiar, she is already in the process of working on next year's Aladdin with Guy Ritchie and screenplay writer John August. Taylor's previous work writing is mostly in television and more noticeably in HBO's Game of Thrones, and an excellent choice for this movie. One of the most notable factors in The Shape of Water is the visuals. Sometimes the performances and the direction can overshadow this, and not deliberately, but in one of the first things the audience will intake and appreciate. The look of this film is both stunning and luscious in every little detail. I can't help but appreciate that the larger percentage of the look of this movie is practical effects, and the cinematography captures the look and feel to this perfectly, especially in the top secret facility that is enclosed with restrictive light, and the colours of green and rusty yellow are a common theme in this movie. Alexander Desplat's score also complements the film in its eeriness, and Desplat totally absorbs and understands what is required to give this unique film a unique sound. In his own words, he said that the melody he wrote for the opening scenes is actually made of waves. Desplat admits that he did not do that on purpose, but by being completely immersed in the love and the water elements, he wrote a melody that plays arpeggios like waves, and wow, that is just amazing. Overall, The Shape of Water is a stunning piece of film, and on a personal level though, it took me by surprise on how I felt going into this movie and what I got out of it at the end. The performances from the cast are breathtaking, the direction and the story are what we now expect from Guillermo del Toro, but that doesn't mean that there are few surprises on the journey. This film is a must-see and I can't recommend it enough.